Hey, MCARBO brother, I'm Chris Nelson, President of MCARBO. Really excited to introduce a new KAHR CM9 Trigger Spring Kit for your KAHR pistol. Really fantastic trigger pull reduction. We got a 50% trigger pull on the KAHR CM9, which is really outstanding compared to what it started at, 6 3/4 pounds down to 3 3/4 pounds. Really fantastic. KAHR advertises a 7-pound trigger, so we are really happy we're able to do this. Really quick, simple, clean installation. Let's get on over tabletop. Put this baby in. Let's go ahead and check our firearms together, make sure they're clear, check the chamber, check the bolt face, check the magazine well. This firearm's clear. Parts and tools needed for this build: the KAHR CM9 Trigger Spring Kit by MCARBO. This includes a lighter striker spring, the bigger one here, and a lighter striker block spring, the shorter one there. A hammer, 1/8 inch punch, 3/32 inch punch, 1/16 inch punch, bench block, micro tip, flathead screwdriver, a paper clip. This comes in handy. And as always, guys, make sure we're an iPro. Let's see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. 6 pounds, 8.8 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. 6 pounds, 7 ounces. So we get started by removing the slide stop here. What you'll do is you'll pull back on the slide and position this little half circle over that half circle feature inside the slide stop. I find, especially with these cars, it just helps to use a little bit of that micro tip flathead to pry it out. They are pretty snug in there. So pull that out, then pull the trigger and slide it forward. All right, we'll go ahead and set the pistol grip aside. Won't be needing that. Now we'll go ahead and pull out the recoil spring and recoil spring guide. There it is. All right, go ahead and pull out the barrel. All right, you see we did a little polishing there on that feed ramp. That's definitely something you could do. Really helps, love it. Can't get enough polishing. So here's your striker spring right in here, your striker spring guide. All right, this is your actual striker right here, and this is your striker spring block. All right, these are the items we're going to be replacing, but to get to them, we need to get this slide back plate off. Now to do that, you could push down. It's a little tiny recess in there. If you had a thin enough pick, you could access it. This little paper clip doesn't really do it justice. It's under a lot of tension. So what I found is the best way is to pull out the extractor, which is much easier. So we need to remove the extractor to relieve all that tension there on that slide back plate. So push back on that front extractor pin right there with your micro tip, and then you'll be able to pop out the extractor with your finger. So just pull back on that pin, and then that extractor will pop right out. And you can also use your flathead to give it a little bit of an extra push out of there. So it pops right out just like that. So there's your extractor right there, and that's how it locates inside that hole in the slide, is that pin right there. All right, so we'll set our extractor down, and then we'll take our handy paper clip here. All right, now it's kind of an unusual tool to use. Now this front pin, it'll slide right out, but this is what came right out here. This is what was locating in with the extractor, all right? And you'll notice this pin has got a unique feature there on the front. So you can see it's got a bit of a slice there on the front that locates with the extractor. So they locate in position just like this. All right, so when it goes in there, this is how they made up. And this is what keeps that tension on the extractor and keeps it in the hole. That post is what locates in the hole. This puts the tension on that extractor, get it to lock in place. So we'll take our paper clip and we'll push down on this back extractor pin right here. It's a little tiny piece that's exposed. And that paper clip is just wide enough to get past it. So there's the extractor spring there, and here is the extractor rear pin. All right. It's just a small cylinder shape, no unique features to it. So there they all go together just like this. All right, so when we put it back together, that's how we'll throw it back together. Real straightforward and simple. And now you can see we've got adequate access to this slide back. All right, so real easy now. We removed all the tension on it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and remove that next. So now we'll take our micro tip flathead, we'll pull down on the striker spring and guide, and we'll push out on that slide back right there, all right? And then just catch that striker spring. It will want to jump away on you. Put your slide back aside. Now we'll pull out on that striker spring and guide. Now this is plastic. You can actually see it's bent too. If you guys want a stainless steel option, let us know. We're definitely willing and considering making it. Now what we'll do next is remove the striker, but to remove the striker, you need to remove the striker block. All right, so you can see that striker block moving inside. So the striker block actually locks this striker in place. You can't remove it unless you depress the striker block. So we'll depress the striker block, and pull out on the striker. All right, and you can also see there's a little striker spacer right here. It does a good job of staying in place. You don't really need to remove it. So we'll just set it down here, not worry about it for right now. We're gonna remove our striker block and striker block spring real quick. So you just pull it right out, real easy, all right? Just pay attention to how everything locates with one another. Always very important upon disassembly to really study it as we're pulling it out, all right? So we got everything out of the slide at this point. So now we can start replacing some springs. All right, now we can go ahead and open up our MCARBO KAHR CM9 Trigger Spring Kit. All right, this has got a lighter striker spring and a lighter striker block spring. You know, you may want to use this bag to put your stock springs in. Always a good idea to keep them just in case you got to send it back or whatever. It's always good to have spares. All right, so there we go. All right, so here's the MCARBO springs, much lighter. All right, you can really compress these a lot more than the factory spring. Let me grab the factory striker block spring here. All right, so the factory is here on my left. All right, it's that bluish looking one. There's the MCARBO spring. All right, that MCARBO spring, you can really get some good compression there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put that MCARBO spring in. Let's put the factory spring aside. All right, and a handy thing to do is to drop a little bit of synthetic grease on the tip of this spring so it'll locate in place. So I got some of the synthetic grease PTFE. We use a lot of this around here. All right, it's just handy, but you can use any grease that you got. All right, we really like the synthetic grease PTFE. It's Teflon. It's actually patented by Superlube. All right, so there it is. So it's located in place, the new MCARBO spring, lighter in the striker block. All right, I love how it just stays captured like that. So we can go ahead and drop in the striker block with the new striker block spring. All right, drops right in, moves up and down, good to go. Now we'll take our striker, we're gonna insert that, make sure you get your striker spacer on there. All right, just slides right in. You're gonna hit that resistance. You need to hit the striker block to allow it to continue to move forward. All right, and then just make sure the striker's locking in place. You can't pull it all the way back out. All right, good to go. Now we'll take the lighter striker spring, we'll drop it right in. All right, and we will pull out the plastic striker spring guide. That's all we got for now. If you want a stainless option, you don't want this bent plastic looking thing, I don't blame you. Let's put a stainless option here. Let us know, we'll make it. Put the factory spring back in the bag, keep those aside. All right, so at this point, we're good. We've got our springs installed. Now we just need to put the rest of the slide back together. So now what we need to do is put the extractor back together. You can see I've got all the components right here, all right? We wanna do that before we put the slide back plate on. So we'll put our extractor first. And remember this one with the unique little cutout, that 45-degree feature, right? And then the spring, and then the cylinder one will go in the back last. All right, so let's go ahead and drop in the extractor, just like this, right into that little hole there in the slide. All right. Drops right in, okay? All right. Now we'll go ahead and drop in that next pin with that little 45-degree on it. It's a longer one. All right, drop it right in that hole, right there. You want to have this little 45-degree slant, the tip of it facing this portion of the slide right here. That way there, it'll contour. It may help to grab your paper clip, push it all the way down. And the reason we want that little slant facing this outer side of the slide is so that it'll fit and mate to the back of that extractor right there. All right, now we'll go ahead. We got 2 items left. We'll take that spring, drop it right in. There we go. 3/32 inch punch, push it down, kind of tamping it down in there. And take our smaller rear pin, it's just a smooth cylinder all the way around. Push it right in, 3/32 inch punch. Make sure you're fully compressed, and it'll basically hold itself in place for the moment. All right, now we're gonna take our slide back plate. We're gonna push down on this striker spring and guide. All right, all we gotta do now is just compress this striker spring and guide, right? And then slide on the back plate, all right? So what I like to do is just lay it down like this, because this will fly away on you. If you got it pointed up like this, press it, lose it, you know, your grip slips with this thing. It's going into the atmosphere. All right, so pull back, right, with your finger, get it compressed, and then get it the rest of the way with your micro tip flathead. All right, you just kind of push in on it and then just hold it like this. All right, so we've got it basically compressed and locked in place. Yeah, you can see we got a ton of compression there. And then take your slide back plate, all right, and we're going to drop it right in, okay? Make sure you get it lined up with all three of those features, the two side cutouts, and there's that one feature right here, all right? And then you can release that tension on the striker spring and guide. But you'll see that only a portion of it's captured, which is just enough, and that's all we really need from here. Now take your 1/16 inch punch. We're going to push down on this extractor assembly here, all right, until we get enough adequate clearance to push that back plate all the way up. It'll snap right in place like that. All right, always love a good snap, solid sound. It means we got it locked in place. And then just make sure you can grab your extractor and move it. All right, we just want to make sure it's actually in there correctly. All right, looks good. Back plate's in, striker spring's in. All right, let's check our striker block. There we go. Perfect. Now go ahead and take your barrel, drop it right into the slide. All right, highly recommend polishing that feed ramp. Look at that thing, just blinging. Definitely does a nice wonder to help prevent those failure to feeds, man. It really does an excellent job smoothing out all those burrs, imperfections in the surfaces. And then we're gonna take our recoil spring and guide and just push it right in, compress it, and get it to locate right there on that barrel. All right. You wanna make sure that it's fully seated, just like that. All right, man, we are good to go. So now we'll just take our slide, put it on the pistol grip, all right, pull back until we line up that lug, all right, and that hole is completely clear right here, and we'll insert that slide stop. There's a little spring right there, so it can be a little tight. So push that slide stop right in. All right, now we'll push it back even further to get that half circle to line up with the half circle there on the slide stop. Push that all the way in. We're good to go. Let's do a function check. Pull the trigger. Whoa, man, that is a lot lighter. Hold it back, rack it, check the reset. Perfect. Dang, that is smooth, man. All right, let's go ahead and check this trigger pull. Let's see what kind of modified trigger pull we got. 3 pounds, 10.4 ounces. Now let's take one more to confirm. 3 pounds, 8.4 ounces. Well, there you have it, guys. Really fantastic trigger pull reduction for your KAHR CM9. I'm really glad we were able to pull this off. Didn't have a lot of hope for the car since it did start with a 7-pound trigger, and it did seem like it would be a difficult task. Tried a few other options as well. Didn't pan out, but we did find a really straightforward, simple solution. That's always the best way. Simple is better. So we really like how clean, smooth, and easy this install is for your KAHR CM9 pistol. Thank you, CARBO Brotherhood, for your ideas and your support. And as always, happy shooting.